Hey friend, do you want to offer meaningful learning solutions that create behavior change, fit in the flow of work, and yield real results for your nonprofit? If yes, this is the podcast for you. Join me as I explore instructional design and leadership development best practices, as well as change management, belonging, and influence. If we haven't met yet, I'm Heather, and I've been in your shoes. I'm a learning and development consultant and founder of Skill Masters Market. Before starting my business, I led learning and leadership development initiatives for a large national nonprofit. I know what it's like to need to develop your staff quickly and effectively and to build the relationships and cut through the organizational layers to be successful. And I'm bringing all of that to you in this podcast. So block your calendar, turn off your Teams or Slack chat, and let's dive in. It's Learning for Good.
Understanding your training audience may be the best thing you can do as an instructional designer. Yet, many of us have never been taught how to conduct a training needs analysis. And it sounds scary and data heavy and a bit intimidating. If that's you, I'm excited you're here. Yes, identifying training needs can be a robust process, and someone in the L&D team should be doing a formal needs assessment. But analyzing training needs, that's also something that we should be doing with each and every training project. I shared last week 3 ways to identify your training audience needs at the project-by-project level. We talked about how to get the information you need. So today, I want to talk about what you should be learning about your audience. What do you actually need to know? We're going to keep it really simple. If that sounds good, let's dive in. It's Learning for Good. If you've been around the Learning for Good podcast for a while, you've probably heard my story about taking iron and how it relates to behavior change. Today, I want to share the story again, but this time as it relates to understanding your audience. So here goes. Sometime in the last year or so, I went to my primary care physician and they did some blood work. She called me after the appointment to say everything looked good. So I didn't take any action. I didn't do anything different because I wasn't aware there was any kind of problem. Now, later in the year, I saw a specialist about something else, and they pulled up my recent blood work and pointed out that my iron levels were a little low. And they suggested I take iron at least every other day. So I went out, I bought some iron, and I took it when I remembered to, but I wasn't super regular about it. I didn't have a sense of urgency motivating me to do it. After all, she had said it was a little low and maybe take it every other day. Then I saw a different specialist about something else, and they too pulled up my blood work from earlier that year. But this doctor paused, and she told me that my iron levels were really low, and if I didn't get them up, she would want to start me on an IV to give me iron. That's a completely different picture than what I had heard from the first 2 doctors. So do you know what I did? I started taking my iron. But it wasn't until someone made me aware of the problem, gave me instructions on how to fix it, and made me uncomfortable thinking about the alternative that I decided to change my behavior. And even then, I had to set an alarm on my phone to remind me to do it. Now, I say this often, say, you know what, behavior change is a funny thing, right? Taking iron is a simple task, yet I needed awareness and a sense of urgency and a prompt to do it, right? Our learners are the same. If we need them to change something, that can feel pretty complex and overwhelming to them, even if it's something simple like taking iron. So we have to intentionally design for behavior change at every step in the process. But we can't do that if we don't understand our audience. So let's talk about that. Here are 5 things you need to learn about your audience. Their amount of knowledge about the topic. What do they know? Do they know they need to be taking iron? What might motivate them to make a change? What might prevent them from making a change? The skill gap that exists, and you need information about their environment. Now, knowledge. Let's talk about that. In the beginning of my story, I did not take action. I did not take iron because I was not aware of the problem. The first doctor said everything looked good. So I made no changes. I did not know that I needed to make a change. Now, motivation. When I realized there was a problem, it didn't seem like that big of a problem. So I wasn't super motivated. I didn't have a sense of urgency. That second doctor said, oh, your iron levels are a little low. Maybe take iron every other day. I wasn't super motivated. Now, environment. Once I had that sense of urgency and I had that third doctor say they wanted to put me on an IV to give me iron, right? Suddenly I have a sense of urgency. I don't like needles. I don't like IVs. I knew I needed to make the change. But my environment, I'm a busy working mom of 3. Trying to remember to take my iron was hard, and that prevented me from making the change. It wasn't until I set an alarm on my phone that I changed my behavior. Now, if someone came to you and said, we need a training to help people take their iron, and I know that sounds silly, but hang with me. If they needed a training, you might have said, okay, step 1, tell them they need iron. Step 2, tell them which iron to buy. Step 3, tell them to take it every evening after a meal. Done. But that wouldn't have worked because you didn't understand your audience. Your audience actually needed to know why iron was important. And they needed support in creating this new habit in their otherwise already busy schedule. So once you know that, your solution might be different. And it might not even be a training. It might be a prompt, like setting an alarm on your phone. And that's why it's important to know your audience. And again, the 5 things I found helpful to know are their amount of knowledge about the topic. What do they already know? What might motivate them to make their change? What might prevent them from making a change? Any skill gaps that exist, and their environment. We have to know the context they're operating in.
Hey friend, was this episode helpful for you? Did you like what you heard? Do you want more content like this? Here are 3 things you can do. Hit subscribe. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts or your podcast app of choice. Share this episode with a colleague. This means so much to me personally. I read every review, but it also helps me learn what content you like most so I can create more of what you want. All right, turn that Teams or Slack chat back on when you're ready, and I'll see you next time on Learning for Good.